All right. Um, just give this a moment. I'll give it a minute just so everyone can get a notification that that it's live, and then we'll get into it. Um, but I will start off with saying Shalom. Of course, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Yahweh who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And I just wanted to do a little recap, I guess we could say, man, of a conversation I had, I want to say maybe 2 days ago now, with a individual named, we call him Perry, right? That's his name, but his channel name is called The Preacher, right? You should know who I'm talking about, because we've had him on the show once in a while, right? To have a debate about the scriptures. Just grab a drink real quick. Right, so, we brought him on, to have a chat, about the scriptures in the past. And this individual, it's difficult to even have a conversation with this character, because anytime that you try to, anytime that you try to say something, you'll get talked over. You know what I'm saying? So it's it's not really easy to even make a statement, right? Because you only got 5 seconds to say something, and then you get interrupted. So you say what you can. You know what I'm saying? It's very complex and difficult to even engage in a conversation with someone like that, but it's so entertaining, you can't help it. Because again, this guy is the one teaching that that sin doesn't exist as long as you believe in Christ, right? But there's a couple of things I wanted to recap. Because believe it or not, there's people on there who would say that he actually won the discussion. Isn't that ironic? So let me start off with this, right? Um, Perry said that one sin's equal to all sin, right? So if you steal, he's saying that you're still a adulterer, you're still a rainbow as we call them around here, you're still a murderer, right? You're still all of the above if you just commit the sin of stealing, is what it'll say. So I was like, okay, cool, because he was trying to use that and say, okay, well, you guys, because you still sin, right? And we say yes. He said, okay, well, because one sin equals to all sin, that means that you guys are murderers, you guys are robbers, you guys are rainbows, you guys are, all of the above. So how can you get mad at other people who do those things if you guys are all those yourself? Is what his argument was, right? Which he clearly didn't know what the hell he's talking about. But I cut him 6 ways to Subway because I asked him. It's like, okay, cool. Do you agree that Jesus, right, took upon himself the sin of us all? And he said yes, right. He agrees. Going by the story, it says Christ took upon himself the sin of us all, and I agree that that's true, right? But here's the catch, though. And he didn't really want to give a direct answer to this because he could see by his logic he was absolutely cut to shreds. So I asked him, it's like, okay, cool. So you're saying that if you commit, say, the sin of robbery, right? If you steal from someone, he said you're, just as guilty as committing the act of adultery or murder, right? Because he said one sin equals all. So, if that's the case, well, when Christ took upon himself the sin of us all, by your reasoning, Perry, you must be saying that Jesus, right, the Messiah himself, according to Perry, by his logic, now keep in mind, he didn't literally say these words, but by the logic that he's implying is undeniable. This is clearly what he's saying. He's saying that Christ is an adulterer, Christ is a rainbow, Christ is a murderer, and all of the above. I mean, he has to be saying that by his logic. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong on that. Am I the only one who can see the self contradictory within his own statement? So if you commit the sin of robbery, you're guilty of all. It's like, okay, cool. So when Christ took upon himself the sin of us all, was he guilty of all that then? Was he all of those things? You ask him and he'll avoid the question because he don't really want to deal with it. So it's like, okay, so if you don't want to answer the question, I'll take that as a yes then, because you're not saying it's not true, right? So, I mean, he got cut to shreds, man. Then another instance, um, he said that there's no such thing as willful sin, right? So I said, well, I can give you an example of, oh, excuse me. There's no such thing as unwillful sin, is what I meant to say. There's no such thing as unwillful sin. So I responded and said, well, I can give you an example of a sin that was unwillful. It took me 10 minutes to be able to give the example because he always talked over you every 2 minutes, or I should say every 2 seconds. But the example I gave was, I was eating a bag of chips, right? And then later on, I found out that the chips actually contain, I believe it's called sodium glutamate or something like that. But if you do the research on those ingredients, it contains part of a pig in there, right? Some type of swine flesh is a ingredient in what I just mentioned. Okay, and many things have it in it. But someone asked, well, why did you eat them before looking on the back? And I tried to explain, but I kept getting talked over that I did, I did look on the back of the bag, but I frequently ate these, because I enjoyed that chip, right? So when I first ate them, yeah, I did look on the back of the bag and there was nothing unclean in there. However, since I already checked, it wouldn't cross my mind to check the next time that I eat them, right? So the company, without my knowing, right, they I guess we could say, now included new ingredients inside of their product, right? But I didn't check because I already did check the last time. So I was unaware that that they now include those things inside of it. So was that a sin? Yes, but it was a unwillful sin, meaning I did not intend to go off and do that, but it just so happened that that's what happened, right? But again, you're under grace now, so that means that you can be forgiven if you go off, right? But that doesn't mean that you can deliberately go off on purpose. And that's what guys, like Perry will say, that you can, it's fine to lay with another man's wife. It's fine to, engage in homosexuality. All that's fine to do according to Perry because Christ paid for it all. So they're telling you that you can do sinful acts because Christ already paid for it. And that's certainly not what the scriptures are saying. Certainly not. Hey, what's up, Ruby? What's up, Babel? In the chat. Yes, Babel. I was explaining the story how I unknowingly consumed that unknowingly. And I can give plenty of examples. I used to grow up on one of my favorite snacks growing up was beef jerky, right? The Jack Link's beef jerky. But then later on, I found out that the beef jerky actually includes pork in it. I didn't know that back then, right? But then after I did the research into it, then I found out that it contains it, right? So now that I know, now I stay away from it. And hey, look, don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy, man. Giving up, my beef jerky because as I said, I grew up on that. That was definitely my favorite snack, I guess we could say. So that wasn't easy giving that up, but I had to because it contained unlawful food inside of it, right? So I'm just giving an example of how I unknowingly, right, without my knowledge, consumed something that had something unlawful in it. So now that I know that that contains something unlawful, now in the future I'm not going to eat that in the future. Now that I am aware that that's in it. And that's all I brought that example up to Perry to show that there are examples such as that where is that a sin? Yes. But was it like did you deliberately go out and do that? No. You unknowingly consume that. I'll give a perfect example, right? Mine at golf. A few months ago, he brought up how I mentioned how marshmallows contain um, I believe it's called gelatin, right? Which, if you do the research on it, it goes back to coming from a part of the pig, right? So he was like, "Oh, I didn't know that. You know, I used to add marshmallows to my hot chocolate, right? And I did too, right? IETT did that as well. But now that I know that it's going off, now I don't do that now, right? Now that I know, now I don't do that. And same thing with mine at golf. Now that he knows, now he knows to not do it again, right? Meaning what? Now we acknowledge that that was going off. So that was a sin, but was without our knowledge, right? We didn't know it that was going off. But now that we know, now we're staying away from it, is what we're doing. Now that we understand that it went off. Certainly not Babel. He don't really know what's going on. Could you give me an example? Yeah, I seen that, but yeah, he don't really know what's going on. In fact, not one argument that I said was refuted in the comments. And if it was, someone needs to show me an example because I certainly have not seen one. Oh, and then his whole thing now is that the elect will not have sin. Okay, well, where in the Bible does it say God's elect will not have any sin? I haven't seen that in the Bible. There's no verse that says God's elect will not have any sin. Hell, and he said that he, well, wait a second. According to Minor Golf, he intendingly sins because he puts on a face mask so it can get on public transport to go play golf, right? So he'll tell you that wearing a mask is a sin. Which keep in mind, I don't teach that, right? I don't teach that wearing a face mask is a sin because it's clearly not. That's ridiculous. But he teaches that it is, right? So he'll tell you that um he will put one on so he can go on public transport to play golf, right? So he'll intendingly on purpose break God's law. And again, I'm not saying that that's a sin, but according to him, he says it's a sin. So I'm going by his logic for a minute, right? So so he intendingly, does that, breaks God's law on purpose so he can just play golf. But yeah, he got the nerve to come at us when we're trying to keep the laws the best that we can. And I want to comment on this as well because I see guys, they get on the Hebrew Israelites and say, oh, we're not supposed to follow the law to the best of our ability or anything like that, because we teach to follow the law to the best of your ability, which I don't understand. Why is that such a problem um, with that? I think they either misunderstand what that means or they're being willfully ignorant. Because what does it mean when the Israelites say that you got to follow the law to the best of your ability? That means that you got to follow the law, but there are certain laws today in the Bible that we cannot keep perfectly today. I'll give you a perfect example. The scriptures tell you that you're supposed to wear your garment, your fringes and border of blue on your clothing, right? You're supposed to wear your fringes of blue, your fringes and border of blue on your clothing wherever you go. All day you're supposed to wear it. So if you go to work, hell, at 90% of the jobs, you can't have that on your clothing. You can't have that on your clothing. You gotta wear what they want you to wear as the uniform at that job. You don't have a choice. So that's one law in the Bible that you cannot perfectly keep today. Or I'll give you another one. When you marry a woman, the woman is supposed to be a virgin. Hell, you can't really get that today, man. I mean, are there a couple examples of men who did that? Yeah, that's certainly true, but that's difficult to get today. Not saying it's not possible, because it is possible to get with a woman who's never laid with a man before you. That's certainly possible to get, but it's very unlikely that you'll get that. Right? So that goes against the scriptures, laying with a woman who's already been with multiple men before you. Let's see, what else could I mention? Oh, scriptures tell you that of course, if a man lays with a man, or a human lays with an animal, that's a sin unto death. You're supposed to, bring judgment upon those people for doing that. But you can't do that here in America. You'll get your ass on the electric chair, man. You'll be on death row if you try to, do that, man. Is that in the law? Yes, but you can't go around doing that today. Okay? So those are a couple examples of the laws of God that we cannot perfectly keep today. Okay, so when the Israelites say to keep the law to the best of your ability, they're telling you follow the law the best that you can, because you cannot perfectly keep it. So when guys like Minor Golf get on there and say, you can't be like the Hebrews, teach and obey it to the best of your ability. Well, what do you mean by that? Because the Israelites are telling people to obey God's law, but they're saying you got to do it to the best of your ability. Meaning what? That you can't perfectly keep the law, but you got to keep what you can. Now, I think they misunderstand it, because I think they think that the Israelites are saying, to the best of your ability, meaning, keep the ones you want, but don't keep the ones, that you don't want. Right? Keep the laws that you want, but the ones that you don't want to follow, you don't have to follow it. I think that's what they believe the Israelites are saying when they say keep it to the best of your ability, but that's certainly not what they say. That's not what they mean when they say that. So either guys are being dishonest with themselves, or they sincerely haven't misunderstood. It's just very simple to understand. When we say to keep the law to the best of your ability, we're telling you to keep the law, but there are laws that you cannot keep today. So you have to follow as many laws as you can, but you cannot perfectly keep God's law today. That's why we're under grace. Okay, so as I said, once again, it's all just a misunderstanding. Now, I don't know if they're misunderstanding on purpose, or they sincerely just misunderstood what they're saying. I'm not sure what one of the two it is, but it's one of those. Let's see. There's a guy on here named Yael. He said, so because you don't eat certain things, those that make any difference in terms of salvation. Hold on, let me read that again. Maybe he missed a couple words there, because I'm not necessarily sure what he's even asking. He said, so because you don't eat certain things, does that make any difference in terms of salvation? Oh, okay. I know what he's saying. And the answer is yes. Because the holy book, which I don't know if you read the Bible yet, but the Bible has laws in it, right? There are certain things that you can and cannot do. And the Most High gave dietary laws in Leviticus chapter 11 of foods that you can and cannot eat. I'll give you an example. He said concerning to the sea life, right? He said the things in the water that have fins and scales you can eat, but whatever does not have fins and scales in the oceans and waters and streams, you can't eat that. Okay? So God still judges by those rules today. There was never a time where that was done away with, contrary to the Christian church. There's no time anyone can show where God's laws were done away with or don't matter today. That's not, you can't show me that. Let's see. Yale said it's a problem because you judge others by the law when you don't keep them yourself. Well, Yale, you got to clean out the earwax out of your ears, man. Because when you say we don't keep the laws, what do you mean we don't keep the laws? We do keep God's laws, but you cannot perfectly keep all the laws perfectly. And may I ask you, yeah, how many laws are there in the Bible? Are there only 10, or like how many laws are we to follow today? Because if it's only 10 commandments, I mean, hell, that's easy peasy, man. Let's see. No, yeah, you don't understand the scriptures. He, I mean, hell, man, Yale, are you a member of Perryism by any chance? Are you a member of the religion called Perryism, with Perry as the main preacher, right? The main teacher in the religion called Perryism. Are you a member of that religion by any chance, if you don't mind me asking? He said, you break one, you break all. You can't get around that. Well, no, you don't understand what that means. When you break one law, it's not guilty. You're not as guilty as someone who breaks the law of, say, laying with an animal. And how can I show you this? You had to understand this real quick. I have to layer this as a response. What it means when it says one sin, you're guilty of all, nearly paraphrasing the text, it means that you're worthy of the same punishment at the end of the day, meaning what? That everyone who steals, everyone who commits adultery, everyone who eats pork, everyone who, uh, atheist, right, don't believe in the Most High, um, any other of the laws, if you do them on purpose and don't repent from them, well, what it means by you break one, you're guilty of all. It means you're going to receive the same damnation, which is what? The lake of fire judgment, right? So that's what it means. Okay, if someone doesn't commit adultery, but they're a robber, right? They're a thief. Hey, they're going to get the same judgment as someone who commits adultery, which is what? They're going to be thrown into the lake of fire. If someone is a rainbow, as we call them, but they are not a robber, hey, well, they're going to get the same judgment, which is cast into the lake of fire. All right, if you eat pork, but you're not any of the above, right? If you don't lay with other people's wives, if you don't steal, you're, pretty much just a peaceful person, but you eat unclean foods, well, you're going to get the same judgment. So that's what it means by, if you break one, you're guilty of all. That's the simple understanding of what it means, is you're going to get the same punishment for any of those, breaking any of those commandments. It's very simple to understand. Sorry, man, I wasn't able to check out Perry Stone. I have a little bit too much going on, or I'm busy right now. But if you remind me in the comment section, I will give him a look, but you'll have to remind me, cause I'll forget easily. So if you comment and let me know, I'll go back and check it. Let's see. Yale said, hold on a second. Yale said, wrong, we are not under the Mosaic law. But could I ask you a question, Yale? Um, because I hear people say the Mosaic law, but how is it the Mosaic if the Most High was the one who gave Moses the laws? Right, God gave Moses the commandments, not just the 10 commandments, but he also gave him the other statutes that you're to live by. So, I mean, hell, man, you must be a plantation Christian, man. You must be subscribing to that whitewashed, Christianity. Could I ask you, what denomination are you? I believe you're of a belief in Perryism, but I could be mistaken. Yeah, nobody on earth can keep the 613 commandments perfect today. That's why we're under grace. That doesn't mean that you can deliberately go around and break the laws on purpose. That's not what we're saying. we're telling people to obey God's laws. That's what we come out and say. We're telling you to obey the laws of God is what we're telling people. But we understand that you cannot perfectly keep all 613 commandments today. You cannot perfectly keep it. That's why we're under grace. Meaning what? If you mess up, you can be forgiven. Okay? It's very simple to understand. Okay? So that's what it means by we're under grace. Because guys will twist grace and say that, well, I'm not under the law, I'm under grace. So that means I can do whatever the hell I want. No, that's not what it means. It means that if you break the law, you can be forgiven for it. That's what it means. You can be forgiven under the blood of Christ. Okay, excuse me a second. My internet cut off on me. Can you guys still hear me? I apologize about that. My internet cut out for a second. Let's see. Yo, could I ask you though, what did I say that was incorrect though? I mean, and I'm genuinely asking sincerely, because maybe if you could prove it, I'd listen to what you're saying. Oh man, hey, well, Gail, hey, look, man, um, you must be a damn devil demon, man. Right? Hey, look, go back and kiss Perry's ass, man, if that's what you're doing. I mean, you don't really know what's going on. I asked you how many laws are there, and you can't even give me an answer on that. What do you think about what is that? First Peter 3:15, be ready always to give an answer to someone who asked you the reason of your belief, right? So, you're supposed to give somebody, a an answer for when they ask you a reason of your faith, right? That's what you're supposed to do, and that goes for all of us, man. Even though the testimony of Christ is a spirit of prophecy, even if somebody asks us, about Christ in general, we're going to go into it where we'll tell them, the teachings of Christ. And Christ taught people to obey the Mosaic law, as you call it, which is really, it's really God's law. I mean, you could call it Mosaic, but it's really God's laws. It's not Moses' commandments, it's the Most High's commandments. He just used Moses to to write them down and to tell the people. But it's really the Most High's commandments. Let's see. Yeah, that's good, Grace. I'll check him out. Just remind me later, and I'll give him a watch. I'll see what he's doing. But it's just crazy, man. It's unbelievable. These doctrines out here, man. How pathetic. It really is, man. It's unbelievable. Especially dealing with Perry, man. And you'll have cats on here that actually come and defend this bug out, man. Oh, and yeah, could I ask you, what is so wrong about the Hebrew Israelites though? Because they actually tell people to obey the laws of God, right? They tell their listeners to obey God's laws, but yet Christians tell their congregation, and I'll be fair, not all Christians, but a lot of the denominations, not all of them, but most of the denominations, tell their followers that they don't really have to obey the scriptures. They don't have to obey the laws that are written in the scriptures. They'll tell their audience, right, the ones that they're preaching to, yeah, you got to obey the law of the land, right? They'll tell them that, first and foremost, but then in the same breath, they'll be like, you don't have to keep God's commandments, though. Isn't that hypocrisy? Isn't that bullshit right there? I mean, come on. Anyone that can't see that is a damn joke. Let's see. Someone asked, "You born again Christian?" Um, I'll respond to that. Hold on a second. Well, the way that I would respond is, could you elaborate on what you mean about being born again? Because is salvation hasn't happened yet. But I know what you're talking about. You're talking about what is that? John the third chapter, dealing with being born again, right? What it's talking about is it's more like a spiritual, born again by changing your mind, right? By changing your mind, to follow the Most High's will and His commandments. So I'd say yes on that. But at the end of the day, nobody really knows though, because the scriptures say many are called, but only a few are chosen. So guys go around saying that they're God's elect. It's like, how the hell do you know that? Now, hell, maybe you are of the elect. Maybe that's true. But how do you know, you as a human being? You don't know the way of the Most High. That goes for all of us. You can take it upon faith that you're of that number, sure. But I mean, you can't personally know that 100% certain. How the hell could you know that to be 100% certain if you never actually seen the Most High, physically and had a conversation with him, right? You can't know that as a human. You can believe it, sure. Just like there's guys who believe Christ already returned in the 70 AD. Like Primal Man, I saw he was live a half an hour ago. It's funny because I came out literally to join him to have a chat with him for a little bit. And when I got to where I'm at, sat down and joined, I saw that he ended the stream literally 2 minutes ago. It's like, oh, okay. And I saw mine at golf was live too. So I wanted to hop on with him. But he also ended it literally the exact same time that Primal Man ended his. So that's just funny. Let's see. Hey, Yale, are you still here, man? Because if you are, you need to respond to what I asked you, man. You need to respond to that. Let's see. You know what? Hey, Yale, would you like to come hop on? Yeah, would you like to come on and have a discussion about the scriptures? I'll fire up a StreamYard right now if you want to come on. You just gotta let me know, man. Because we'll deal with you, right? We'll deal with you. We'll hear you out. But you gotta let me know, man. Because most Christians I've seen, they'll run from it. They don't really want to talk about the scriptures. Like, I'll give you a little example. Yesterday, I want to say at maybe 2 a.m., right? There was a Christian stream who was live on YouTube, just a random channel, had like 150 subs, right? So I just saw they were live, so I was like, oh, okay, let me hop in here, just to have a little bit of fun. Which I got to start doing that more lately, man. I got to start doing that more often. Yeah, that's pretty fun, just hopping on to the streams. Or Sakari, right, as they call it, right, hijacking streams, right? It's fun to jump on there and have some fun with some, so-called Christians or religious folks. Um, but I hopped on there and, I asked them a sincere question, like, because they were talking about the whole Corolla situation, and I was like, well, you guys do know that God is the one who did that, right? And I go to certain scriptures, famous verses that we all bring out over here, to show them that God's the one behind that narrative, right? And they didn't want to deal with it, right? So they kicked me off the show. It's like, damn, wait a second. Well, why don't you Christians want to talk about the Bible? Isn't that funny? Why is it that Christians don't like to talk about the Bible? I find it ridiculous because there's actually a character out there. I believe his name is Wildheart, right? Which he's cool, right? I was on his show twice now. I'm gonna go hop on again. He's pretty cool, but he's an atheist, right? I'll respect his viewpoint, even though he goes off. But he's a good host, right? I join his streams. Um, but the ironic part is he'll be there and be willing to listen to you talk about the scriptures and will actually engage in a conversation with you about the scriptures. But you hear it is people who believe in the scriptures, they don't want to have a conversation about the scriptures. Isn't that ironic? Isn't it ironic that atheists know more about the scriptures than someone who claims to believe in it? And an atheist is willing to discuss it compared to someone else who actually believes in it. Isn't that ridiculous? That's just funny, man. Um, Let me see. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my internet connection, man. This damn, pisses you off. Now that's why, because someone asked earlier, why did I stop the other stream? I stopped it because it was giving me some connection problems. So that's the reason I ended that one earlier, in case you're wondering. Uh, let's see. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Galapagos. I seen that, man. Well, what you guys listening, other than Galapagos, you don't know this, but me and Galapagos, we both went on Wild Heart stream yesterday for maybe 2 hours or so. Just to have a little bit of fun with those people over there. You had some atheists there, you had a couple Christians, someone who's open to the scriptures, right? They're what do they call it? Agnostic, right? They don't necessarily believe in a higher power, but they're open to the possibility of there being a higher power, right? I believe it's pronounced agnostic, right? Let's see. Grace, the two witnesses, from my understanding, are not two literal human beings. They represent two nations of people, would be my understanding. So could I be a part of that? Sure. But from my understanding, it's not two literal people. But again, I'll respect your viewpoint if you disagree with that. That's fine. But that would be my answer to your question. Is it just represents the northern and the southern kingdom, right? So really, it just like parabolic of all of the Israelites. Um, like I'll give an example, right? Because you'll be like, oh well, it says these two men. So how could it be two nations? And I respond, well, with the Antichrist, it refers to him as a he, right, or the man of sin. We know that that's not a literal human, right? One man who's an Antichrist, right, or just one man of sin. Those of us that come around here, we understand that that's not true. So even though it refers to him as a him, meaning what, one person, we know that it's not literal. All right, it's very simple to understand. But bear with me for a second. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you with that, man. They're definitely pushing that bestiality stuff. Oh, and Perry said that's okay. Perry said that action, that's okay to do, is what Perry teaches. Isn't that ridiculous? As long as you believe in Christ, that's okay. That's Perry's doctrine. As long as you believe and claim Christ as your savior, you're free to do that because you can't sin. I mean, that's what he's saying. I mean, as I said, man, it's just crazy how people will come in and defend such nonsense like that. Let's see. Which I won't go too long tonight. Um, let me see. Yeah, yeah, Perry, man, that guy's crazy, man. I mean, that guy is literally out giving people his personal information on the internet. It's like, wait a second, what? How the hell can it be so retarded to give people your personal information? I mean, are you not mentally well, or like, what the hell is going on? You know what I'm saying? The guy's, it's funny because the guy will literally have his 10 kids come up on camera, right? His children will come up on camera, but then when his wife comes on, now they'll turn the camera off so you can't see what his wife looks like. But they'll let their children be on camera, though. Isn't that just a little bit odd? It's like, sure, if you don't want to be on camera, that's fine. But I mean, don't you think it's weird how to let their young children be on camera? But then when his wife gets on camera, now they got to turn it off. I just think that's pretty funny. That just seems weird, if I could say so for myself. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, hell, man. Perry said that you can stop by his house, and he'll actually engage in a conversation with you about the scriptures. Like, he'll literally give you his address. He'll literally give you all that. You can go literally drive to his house and have a discussion with him at his house. Isn't that crazy? It's ridiculous. Which I don't know. I don't know who the hell would want to even show up at Perry's house, man, with what we see. This character out here talking about on YouTube, right? I don't know who the hell would want to, even show up at that damn devil demon's house. Which I got to give Perry credit though, because one thing he does do is he does keep his word. I got to give him credit in all honesty, because Jay went on there. He actually sent him money. I believe he sent him a shirt as well and a brand new Bible, right? It's like, damn, I've never seen such curiosity. Excuse me. Well, is that the right word to use? Um, Damn, now I'm confused. Oh, such courtesy, excuse me. Such courtesy, right? Such courtesy. I never seen such courtesy as what I see from Perry. I never seen any other channel literally send you money and send you a brand new Bible. I've never seen such I never seen that. Such courtesy before. Never seen that. Oh yeah, that's a good word to use, generosity as well. That's probably the word I was looking for a minute ago. Slip of the tongue. Um, but I never seen such curiosity or such courtesy, excuse me. There it goes again. From anyone else on YouTube other than Perry. So I gotta give him credit. He's a man of his words. I gotta give him credit. No, he'll actually send you the money that he says he will. He'll send you the shirt that he says he will. He'll send you whatever he says. So I got to give him credit on it. And I do believe him when he says that he'll allow you to come to his house and actually have a conversation with him. I believe him. I believe that. Would I suggest someone take up his offer? No, but I believe him when he says he would. Uh, let's see. Well, Grace, I don't know about the situation with you and him, but I know from other people who went on there, such as our buddy Jay, right, Sacramento Truth Movement. Perry actually sent him money and a brand new shirt and Bible, right? And I've seen it, right? So I don't know about you and Perry. That's none of my business. But from the people I seen who went on there, he actually did. Um, Now, I don't know if you live overseas, because then maybe he won't be able to do it. But if you live in the States, then he will. Hey, well, you gotta. Hey, look, if that's true, man, well, you go reach out to him, because I've seen that he does send it. So either you're overseas, so then it's obviously understandable that he can't send it there, But if you're in the states, reach out to him, man, and you can ask him because I believe he would. Right? I believe he's a man of his words. I'll give him credit. Um, let me see. Hey, we'll go on there again and ask him, man. Maybe he didn't see it because the chat moves pretty quick over there. Let me see. But going back to what I was saying is it's remarkable on how what's the word I'm looking for? I gotta be smart with my words. Um, how unstudied, I guess we could say, the average Christian is. Like I went on with Galapagos yesterday, a Wild Heart stream, right? And that was pretty fun. We asked them certain questions. You guys, what do you think about reincarnation? You saw that the guys over there were clueless about that. Guys were clueless as to Christ, what his real message was, and what he came to Earth to do. They were clueless on all that. Other guys will be on there saying the law doesn't really matter today. I mean, it's ridiculous. But it's fun to interact with with other people on those platforms. It makes it interesting conversation, if I could say so for myself. Oh yeah, Grace, I seen that firsthand, man. You know, every time you go on, we'll ask you to read the exact same, precept that you read all the other times that you were on there. It's like, damn, man. I mean, don't you got anything else you can go into? But I guess that's his lot, if that makes sense. Uh, let's see. As I said, I'm not gonna go for too long tonight. I'm gonna go try to see if I can hop on some other Christian streams, just to have a little bit of fun. Uh, and the way you do it is it's actually simple. You just go on to the YouTube search bar and look up StreamYard, and then you go to live, so you can see the current live streams. Right this minute. Sometimes you can look up, open panel, and then go to the live search. Like when you go to the settings on it, right, you can pick what you want the results to be, whether you want videos from this year, this month, this week, today. Then you can pick down below if you want it live, or gives you a couple other options. But if you do that, you can find live streams that are taking over, or taking what's the word I'm looking for? Taking place all over the world, right? Don't get me wrong, it is actually difficult to find religious streams that actually speak your language that will let you hop on. It's not, a walk in the park, believe it or not. You actually got to sit there for a couple minutes and scroll through, and try to look for something. But then you'll always find something that will, you know, spark your interest, so to speak. So that's what I'm doing right now, man. Is I'm just trying to hop on these religious live streams just to have a little bit of a conversation with some of the people on there. I just think it's entertaining to do so. Speaking for myself. Like it gets boring dealing with the same people every single day. Week in week out. Even though we still do that, of course. But it's just why the hell we want to deal with Perry every single day? You know what I'm saying? Or Primal Man. After a while it gets boring. We still interact with those people. That's true. It can be fun to do that. But it's like, it's time to reach out and expand, so to speak. Like Wild Heart streams. I'm going to be stopping by there more often, man. I believe they go live every single day, once or twice. So that's a good channel to head over to. And we'll go for 10 more minutes. We'll round it out at an hour. Uh, just read the chat. Okay, hold on a second. Let me just go up to Yale's comments to see if I missed anything he said, because he put quite a few comments up. Uh, it's funny because Yale will come on here and, get on us and say, oh, you're not following the 613. It's like, well, are you following all the 613 laws? Are you following all the 613 laws? I don't think so. Are you trying to follow the laws? I believe that. I believe you if you tell me you're trying to follow God's laws. I have no reason to not believe that. But if you tell me you're following all the laws perfectly, I call bullshit on that. There's nobody alive today who can follow all 613 laws 100% perfectly. You can't do it. Now, you can try, right? You can try to follow the commandments, sure, but you cannot perfectly keep them today. I can't, you can't. That's why the scriptures say, for all have fallen short and came, short of the glory of the Most High, right? All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of the Most High, right? But by grace, by believing in who the world calls Jesus Christ, which is real name Yahweh Shai, you can be saved, okay? Because our sins are covered under Christ. That doesn't mean that you can deliberately go around and do wicked things on purpose, like what Perry teaches, as long as you believe in Jesus. You can't do that. If you believe in Christ, you have to obey the laws to the best of your ability. You got to follow them the best you can. You can't pick and choose what ones you do and don't follow. You can't do that. But you have to understand that you cannot perfectly keep the laws 100% today. And the Most High understands that. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Jay? What's up, man? Shalom. Let's see. Okay, I'll check that out, man. I'll check that show out. Let's see. It's just, oh man. It's funny, man. Just. Bear with me for a second. But yeah, when I get off here, I'm going to go try to see if I can find any current live streams that are live, and I'm going to go try to hop on there, just have a little bit of fun with Christians. It's always fun to do that, man. I gotta do that more often. Yeah, but Perry, going back to what I was initially talking about at the beginning of the video, is Perry clearly got cut. Just like IDL, right? 6 ways to Subway. Hell, man, when I saw, because someone sent me a link to Perry's, street teaching video, right? I was like, Jesus, man, I couldn't believe, this fat ass, man. It's like, Jesus, man, this guy gotta be, 300 pounds. And I'm not even being mean. I'm being honest. From what I've seen, it's like, damn, I didn't know that Perry was that big. I thought that he was a skinny guy when I saw him, just sitting there in his chair. I didn't know he was, overweight. It's like, damn. And then someone said it. Yeah, he's living real good. Yeah. Perry's living real damn good, man. How the hell can you sit there and afford to feed 10 kids and still afford to give people $100 plus, free shirts and free Bibles, expensive Bibles, on the internet? How the hell can you afford to do all that, man? crazy. Let's see. So we're only going to go for a couple more minutes. I'll round it out at the hour. So if anyone has any last minute comments, you're welcome to put them up now. But yeah, it's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. What's going on out here, man. So oh, and you know what I find funny? I don't see anyone else calling Perry out on this, right? But here it is. Every single stream, it's about the same subject. Do you sin? Do you sin this? Do you sin that? And they really, it's rare for them to expand past that point of the discussion. So it's like, damn, if all of the events going on in the world, it's like you don't got nothing to say about that. It's like you got nothing to say about the war going on. You got nothing to say about this new outbreak. You know what I'm talking about. You got nothing to say about these things. It's like, what the hell? You got nothing to tell the people about this? You're just gonna, go along with it? That's crazy. But we're not gonna be the same way. We're gonna actually, say something about it. Right? And that's what we're doing. We're coming out warning the people, right? Telling them, they got to they got to get right. They got to come back and follow the commandments. And we tell them about the prophecies. Right? That's what we that come around here do. And if you believe in Christ, that's what you're supposed to be doing, because the testimony of Christ is the spirit of prophecy, according to Revelation 19, verse 10. If Harry don't know about that, I guarantee it. Let's see. Back in the day, I want to say 6 years ago, I used to stream with a couple of the buddies that we still have with us today, like the Loving Christian, which today he's called the King Lion, and also Ridge Napper. Right, today he's Ridge Nibbler, but he used to be, Ridge Napper back then. We all used to do streams also with Rock Upon Him, with what was the one brother called? Uh, the bear with me for a second. The Vigilant Soldier, right? The Vigilant Soldier, which that brother was cool. You can still find his page out there. Some of our old hangouts from 5-6 years ago. That was fun. Hanging out with those guys, man, back then. But where are they now? As far as I know, the only two around from back then, which I know that Luke Matt, he used to watch us back then. I'm not sure if he goes that far back, 6 years, but I know he was there 5 years ago, and watched some of the discussions. I remember him. But with that being said, the only two other guys around from back then were, the King Lion and Ridge Napper. Those are the two guys we got right now, from back then that we used to all do our thing. Come have hangouts on, StreamYard or whatever they used back then. But yeah, I always like to do that. It's definitely something I've always been interested in. So hey, I kept, doing it even to this very day, which this one's ain't on StreamYard, but usually we try to do it on there. Let's see. Well, anyway, we're approaching an hour now, so I'm going to, in just a minute, I'm going to wrap the show up. I thank everyone for coming by for a chat. If anybody made it this far into the video, go ahead and put hashtag Perry just as an inside joke. If anybody made it to the end. But yeah, I just wanted to go over a couple things. Hope that was a edifying stream. And I guess I'll say shalom with that.